starting recording. Wait. Saikal, how are you?
Hello, sir. Good. How about you?
I'm good. So what is your demo today?
Today's demo is for deploy two developers repository from GitHub into AWS EC2s with CI/CD pipeline. Now for this architecture, we have developers push the code to the GitHub, and let me open. So when the developers push the code to the GitHub repository, the AWS CI/CD pipeline can trigger it immediately and pull the code to the code pipeline. So after that, it's going to the build stage, and build stage would be verify validity of the index HTML file, and if it's the clone the repository, that it will be verified. After verified, it will be available in our source code S3 bucket. After that, it's go to the code deploy and would be available on deploy application. When code successfully built, it will go to EC2 server with public IP and can be accessed from public IP to the servers, so the user can see it. So if something would be wrong in code deploy, if we have some error, we should be fix it and redeploy it. So the AWS code pipeline will trigger each step, which will be edit or change it on GitHub repository. For this case, for this project, the execution step would be the two developers will be push the code into their GitHub repository, and it's gonna be automatically AWS code pipeline will trigger it and pull this code from GitHub repository. In the build stage, code build will be check the validity of congratulations word is present in the index HTML file. If it's success, it will be generate artifacts that will be stored in S3 bucket. If the word congratulations is not present, then build will be fail. After successfully it's built in the code deploy stage, the index HTML file will be deployed with other object into EC2 instance using AWS code deploy. For this project, we need to create IAM role. We need to create code deploy project. After code deploy project, we need to create deployment application. After deployment application, for the code building, we need to use the two server EC2 instance. We have to launch two EC2 instance for this application. After that, we need to create application and deployment group and create the code pipeline. We have to update the IAM role for code pipeline and verify the web page by using public IP. So when pipeline will be successfully, we can verify it from using the public IP for the each EC2 instance server. So task number one, we need to create IAM role. So I want to show you, I already have IAM role. So we go to the IAM role. So my roles, I have AWS code deploy. This is for deploying my application. I have permission for code deploy role. Also, I have additional permission for Amazon S3 full access. Also on this role, I have one more for EC2 AWS role, I called it. On this, I have permission Amazon EC2 role for AWS code deploy for deploying my application. And also additional permission, it's Amazon S3 full access. So using these two roles, I can build my application and install the launch launch EC2 server. So after creating all this, the role and permissions, I can go to my next task. It's create code build project. So I go to my AWS console, and for search button, go to type code build. For the code build, I go to the getting started, create project. The project name I can give, for example, let's say AWS project 1. I will not put any description. For source code, I will use the GitHub. And here I want to choose my GitHub repository for first server. So then source version, I don't want to use the source version. For environment image, I will choose manage image. Operating system, I will use Amazon Linux 2. Runtime, the standard. The image, I will choose 64 standard 3.2. It gives me the service role. I will start new service role. It gives me the role name, AWS Project 01. I don't want to touch any additional configuration here. I don't need it. Build spec, build specification file. I will show you the later. It would be on my code included. So batch configuration I will not touch. CloudWatch login. So I'm creating the build project. So my first AWS project is created. So I need to create the second for my second server. Go to getting started, create project, AWS project 2. I will not touch the description and build page. I will go to source. I will choose GitHub, and it will take from my GitHub repository. Operating system, I will choose Linux 2. Runtime, the standard. Image, choose the 3.0. This is my new service role. It gives the name called build AWS project 2. I will use my build spec file. The other configuration I will use by default. So I'm creating my project 2. Okay. So next step after creating code build project, I want to launch EC2 instance. I need to launch 2 EC2 instance. I will choose in this case the Amazon Linux, it's gonna be T2 Micro. Also, I will use my keeper. Then security group, all of these things I will show here. So you have to go to EC2 instance. Let me duplicate it. Go to EC2 instance. Let's first launch one instance. So I need to stop this instance. But okay, launch instance. This is for server 1. I will call Amazon Linux, T2 Micro. Keeper, I will use my existing keeper. Network setting, we can use by default, and for security group, I can choose the SSH and also HTTP. So for go to advanced details, and for IAM instance profile, we can choose the role which we created for EC2. We don't touch any user data and other configurations, so go to launch instance. The same way we can create the second for our second application. Amazon Linux, into T2 Micro keeper. I will use my existing keeper. Network setting by default. For security group, I will use HTTP and HTTPS. So let's not adding HTTPS yet. We'll see how my code will be built. For IAM instance profile, I will choose my EC2 AWS role. So I'm launching my instance. After launching your instance, you have to update your server for the application and install the Ruby. Also, you have to download the agent where you need to specify your region and get permission for this installation. And also after that, checking the status of your code deploy agent. So let's go to my instance. So let's start using the first server for first application. I'm going to connect. So let's run first command sudo yum update. The same thing we can I can duplicate it. So same thing we can do it on the second server. So let me connect to my server 1 and server 2. Okay, and here I want to run command sudo yum update. So I update two of my the server for application. The next command which I want to use the Ruby. So for this, I'm using the command sudo yum install Ruby. Why? And for the second server, the same thing. So I installed Ruby. So next step, I want to download the agent for code deploy. For this, I want to use command wget. Or you can let me take this on my so it's completed in 2 ways. So let's verify the region. So I'm using US East 1 North Virginia, which is here, US East 1 North Virginia. So I can install it. And the same way on my second server. So after when I'm done, I can give the permission for this installation. So let's run the command shmod +x /install. Can do it on my second server too. Next, I want to use the command sudo for permission for the installation. So let's go and install. So let's do it on my second server. It's installing me the code deploy agent. So if you see on my both server is installation happened. So for verifying the status of the code deploy agent, I can use the command sudo service code deploy an agent status. So, and we can see the AWS code deploy agent is running and SPID number they gave us. So let me do it on my second server too. So on my second server, the code deploy agent is running too. And this is code 3823. And on my first, it's 3836. So next step, after creating EC2 instance and you running all of this command, we can create application and deployment group. So for this, we go to code deploy, code build. Go to the deploy, getting started, create application. So let's give the name for this application. Let's go application call. Let's go 10. Use 10. I will choose EC2 on premises, create application, create deployment group. For deployment group, I will choose the name application group 1. Service role, I will choose AWS code deploy. This is the role which we created for this project. Deployment type in place. Let's update the instance in the deployment group is the latest application. Environment configuration, I will choose Amazon EC2 instance. we have to choose server. So in this case, I will choose the first server for my first application. Install AWS Code Deploy Agent, never. Deployment setting. Code deploy default. So for the load balancer, I will uncheck it. I don't want to use the load balancer here. I'm creating deployment. So let's do it for my second one. So go to get started. Create application. Premises, create the name, application 11 group 02. I will choose my service role, choose how to deploy your application in place, Amazon EC2 instance. I will choose the server 2. Go to the next. Install AWS Code Deploy Agent, never. And I will uncheck the load balancer. So my application, so I can go here and verify. This is my application for called the application 10 and 11. This is my configuration code on premises. So after deploying application, I can go to the code pipeline and create the pipeline. Getting started, create pipeline. For pipeline, I will use the name test application 11. Service role, I will choose new service role. For advanced setting, default location. Next, source provider, I will use the GitHub. So I'm confirming my authentication. For repository, I will choose AWS pipeline. And the branch name will be the master. Next, for build stage, I will use AWS code build, and my region is US North Virginia. Project name first, AWS project number 1, and the building type will be single build. For deploy stage, I will choose AWS code deploy. Application number name is app10, deployment group, app10 group 1. So I'm review my pipeline setting. So I call it test application 11.1. So I want to test this application using the GitHub. And this is my repo name. It's my who is owner. It would be the master branch. The build action provider would be AWS code build. Project name AWS project 1. For deploy action and provider, it would be code deploy application 10. Let me go to the previous, check one thing. Let me verify one thing for project 2 for deploying application 10.11. Create pipeline. Pipeline. Source provider would be, I will choose for GitHub version 1. Let me check one thing. I want to verify it. For repository, I will use AWS pipeline branch, master. For build provider, AWS code build, North Virginia, I will choose the project 1. It would be single build. For deploying stage, I will use code deploy, application name 10, deployment group 10. For after review all of these settings, I can create my pipeline. So my first pipeline is created successfully. So I go to the code pipeline stage, create pipeline for my second application. So let's give the name pipeline 11 for application 2. Default location. Source provider would be GitHub version. I will connect it. I'm confirming. Repository for the second project, I will use AWS pipeline code build 2. The branch would be the master. Build provider, I will choose AWS code build. Repository name is my project 2. For deploy stage, I will use code deploy. Application name 11, which I created, and deployment name application 11 group 2. So this is my second application using the code deploy. I will use the source action provider GitHub, and this is my GitHub name and the branch. This is the build stage where I will use the code build, and it would be my second project. And deploy action, we will deploy the application 11 with deployment group application 11 group 2. So I'm creating my second applications pipeline. So it's successfully created. So I go to my pipelines, and we can see that my first code is succeeded. So I'm going to inside of my pipeline. If you see here, so the code was taken from the GitHub, from my GitHub, and it go to the build stage. On build stage, code was the succeeded, so it means my index.html files was confirmed, and it go to my deploy stages, where on deploy stage, AWS code deploy was succeed. So we go to the details. It's on my server 1. So how I can check it? I go to inside of my server 1 application. So take your public IP. If you paste it, you can see the word congratulations. So it means my index.html file is work. So let's go to my second project. So go to pipeline. So my second application, it's in progress. So we can see the stages, it's on deploy stage. So the code from source GitHub was taken, and it's go to successfully for the build stage, and it's on the build stage, it's verifying my code, and it's go after successfully verified, it will go to the deploy stage. For deploy stage it succeed, so let's go to the details. And I want to go to inside of my server 2. So it's not open because on my server EC2 instance, I'm not adding port 8080 for inbound rule. Let me go to the security and the inbound rule. Now I'm going to my server 2, take a copy of the public IP. And this is my second application, simple calculator services with version 2. So it works. So if you need to change some code in your build stage, you can also make some changes, and the code pipeline will be triggered from your GitHub repository, and this stage will be recreated for you, your application.
Okay.
So for this, I used some kind of references and documentation using Amazon.com.
Okay. Right. Done, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you face any issues while doing practice on these tasks? Can you share them?
My issue, for me was the issue when I was created the IAM role. It's take me some times. Also for the pipeline, when it's for building stage, it gave me some error, but it was something. No, it was for the GitHub. I have to be connected my GitHub to authenticate it. This was my some little bit troubleshooting issues, but we will figure out it together with Siva. So other things, I don't have any other issues. So we will also try to For this application, make changes some code, which you can see the code pipeline can easily trigger it and rebuild your application. So for example, you can change some color of this application, or for using the index HTML file, you can edit some kind of text here to see the result. Any other issues for this project?
Okay, Siva. Is on mute, I think. So,
Yes,
Siva.
yes. Yes.
Okay, what are the issues you faced while practicing for these tasks? And how did you correct them? Do you remember them?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
We'll
go to the diagram.
diagram. Yes, yes.
Cycle. Yeah.
So basically,
So
you will
where
get.
all, in which area you faced issues and corrected them?
So while getting this GitHub code into the code pipeline from the AWS on the, so we have some errors issue, so it won't send the files from the GitHub to this code pipeline. Initially, if you need to identify this error by connecting this GitHub token URL into giving this token URL into this code pipeline by connecting this URL, so that you will connect this GitHub account into this code pipeline. So after that, yeah, so I encountered this troubleshooting for this only.
Okay, good, Cycle. You continue with other demos. I'll stop recording.